don't have database skills now, and big database skills beyond Excel, that the government agencies who are putting out numbers trying to claim certain things, you just can't fact check them anymore. The databases are too big. And numbers really are incredibly powerful both for lying and for making our stories more compelling. So I would hope that any journalism school is kind of instilling that in the students that are coming out of it now.
The skills that when I ever go back to our J school or talk to people, I think, the one thing I try and impress on people is that we're all like marketers. I think more and more journalists are going to be brands. So you see Ezra Klein taking his whole brand away from the Washington Post. You see Nate Silver. These people started something and took it with them. It is.
The hardest thing for us is not so much teaching people an individual language. It's finding people who are not afraid to learn a language, and just getting people over the fear of doing stuff, and also just having some kind of background in taking a technical skill and applying it to a problem. So that's why I always tell people is it doesn't really matter what language you're teaching as long as they're running some kind of programming language.
I feel like one of the problems is a lot of people are trying to teach everybody just to be sort of a jack of all trades. And what I want somebody is who's really good at one thing. So prove to me what is the one thing that you're really good at. Get through one of them, or just be an expert at one thing. I think it's fantastic.
It's not no lecture based. Let's look around for a minute and then I'll talk about it. Just check it out because this room is really, really fun. I can also talk about it. So this room is dedicated to the class I was just talking about, entrepreneurial design for extreme affordability. And we're in here for 2 quarters, which means 6 months. And there's 10 teams of 4 people. Each team is partnered with a different nonprofit internationally. So this group is with Cambodia, this group is Myanmar, my group is in Nicaragua. Particularly with most life problems, there's not one right answer. There's a lot of probably pretty good ways to go, and there's also a lot of things that you just can't think through and you can't predict. So it helps to get a prototype out there that people can start reacting to, and then you start refining, and one of those ideas that you come up with, you're like, oh, actually, that's really cool. I'm going to keep refining it, Now I know what I'm going to do, and now I build, or I write, or I shoot the film, or whatever. So notice, this is not a straight line. This is not one thing moving forward. This is not carefully regimented steps. There is a process you're going through, but don't get caught up in the word process as being this really nice, linear thing. And you check, I prototyped, and now I'm done. It's very much a back and forth. And so it's important to do research. It's important to know what you're doing. It's really important to do interviews and talk to people. But it's also important to then do something out of it and be willing to come back. Try to keep in mind the fact that everybody that you're working with is a human, and they have things going on, and trying to have empathy for them.
The thing that I've been working on the project is working on a platform to help journalists learn how to code. And so it would be exercises, tutorials, a lot of things I teach in my class, but taking it much, much further, trying to see how far we can push programming curriculum to journalists without making it too overwhelming or where they get too frustrated too quickly. Being able to tweak a little HTML in the CMS, or being able to scrape a website for a story that you're working on, and you don't have to ask the IT person to do it for you. I mean, they don't have time. What are they going to get to that in a month or something? If you can do that yourself. So there are certain skills that every student needs to know.
We're always placed in multidisciplinary teams. And the cool thing about that is if you have 3 mechanical engineers on a project, the solution, to no surprise, is probably going to be a mechanism, right? Same thing if you have 3 interaction designers, it's probably going to be a digital experience. So if you put one of each on there, you really start to wrestle with what is the appropriate solution here, and everybody becomes an expert in their discipline. That's something that we value over at the D School. That's how they start doing classes. Instead of having a bunch of biochem majors in one class all working on the same project, the D School shuffles that all up, and now you have biochem business educators all working on incubators for babies. It's mind-boggling how these teams get structured, but that's the value of it is that you have all these different points of view coming at it and offering different ideas to get to something good.